Welcome to the Art Through Perception podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and if you don't know who I am, I'm just here to help. Today's episode is going to be all about self-care. Now, I made a poll in my Instagram talking about what you needed help with the most, and 600 of y'all said self-care. Now, I need you to reflect on this entire episode. Maybe even get a pen and paper, a coffee. Wake yourself up. I need you to be fully aware about everything about yourself this entire episode because I'm really going to break down self-care and what it actually is and how we're actually going to be able to become this person that we need to be for ourselves to live this life. Now, if you don't already know, I made a book and the hardcover finally came in. I am so happy. I've never been more happy in my entire life. If you're already watching this, it may be for sale. Currently, it is not. It is about to be up and running. I just got the official hardcover today. This book is filled with y'all's love stories. I do plan on making another one if this one does well. So if you follow my Instagram and you stay updated, you may be able to potentially get your story in a book and become your own author. I have about 600 people's stories in a book. And yes, I love to share your love stories to the world. I think it is such a beautiful thing, and it is also so healing to be able to write down something. You're able to let it go. You're sending your love story off into the world. Self-care. 9 times out of 10, you probably view self-care as an aesthetic. You view it as bubble baths, face routines, doing yoga, journaling, uploading you at the park, being happy. That is not real. That is not what self-care is. Self-care is building a foundation for yourself, building a foundation for your well-being. That is what self-care is. Self-care is not an aesthetic. Self-care is not always pretty, and we get that mixed up because of social media. Social media portrays self-care so superficially. Social media portrays self-care really superficial. It makes it look like it is just this easy thing. You wake up and you wash your face. It makes it such a superficial thing. And a superficial thing, the definition of superficial is something along the lines as surface. It's something about the surface. Now, it is very surface level. All you see on social media is surface level. And you see surface levels of everybody's life. We can go deep down into social media, but I'm not going to do that to you. I can yap about that for hours. Today we're going to go beneath the surface. We are not going to be superficial anymore. We are actually going to figure out what self-care is. So what is self-care really? Self-care is one of the most important practices, and I say practices because it is something that is going to constantly be changing in our lives, because we are going to be constantly changing, constantly going to be changing the way we take care of ourselves, because we are never going to be the same. Our self-care is really going to revolve around our physical well-being, our mental well-being, and our emotional well-being. And I'm going to break these down more as we go along. And one of the biggest things I want you to hear me say, please hear me when I say this, you do not do self-care because you want to, or because maybe you think it's going to make you happy. You are going to do self-care because it is what you need. It is a necessity. Think of it as something you need to live. Think of it as a lifeline. Self-care is a necessity to be in this world. Because if not, you're going to be like one of these zombies walking the streets. Unhappy, unfulfilled. We have too many of that. Don't be like everybody else. You can be this happy person. You can be this patient person. But you have to learn, and you have to be patient with yourself. Now, I would say my entire life, I was a people pleaser. I was always putting people's emotional and physical and just well-being needs before mine. I would always put people before me, and a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are people pleasers. It's hard not to be. It really is. When you're a caring person, you care. For the longest, I would do that, and it was so mentally draining. Because I would go home not being happy. I would go home being unfulfilled, depressed, laying in my bed, rotting, doing nothing. I had no routines. I would sit there and lay on TikTok and be the example of almost half of this population, where we sit there and we do nothing with our lives. We rot. I was literally one of these zombies walking around emotionally drained. And a lot of us emotionally drain ourselves without us even realizing it. And being a people pleaser is probably one of the biggest reasons why we are so drained, why we don't even have energy to be able to do this self-care for ourselves, because we're so busy worrying about giving our emotional self-care attention to other people. Now, I made a list about all the different types of self-care. So there's, your physical care, which is getting proper sleep. A lot of us do not get the sleep that we need, and whether you realize it or not, it affects everything about your life. Nutrition, eating healthy. Eating healthy can affect your mood, it can affect your health, it can affect everything. Now, please try to implement some kind of healthy diet, maybe drinking more water if you don't want to eat healthy, or just eating healthy and drinking water. And exercise, go on a walk. It's not that hard to go on a walk. It's not that hard to go to the gym. It is exercise. You know how much dopamine that you get from working out? Now there's your mental self-care, which is getting resting yourself. There's setting boundaries. There's consuming healthy content. Instead of watching videos about cheaters while you're in a relationship, maybe watch videos about how to love people. Instead of watching stupid social media brain rot, maybe watch a podcast on how to be a better person. Maybe watch a podcast on something that you are struggling with in the moment. That's what I do. If I'm struggling with anxiety, I will sit there and I will watch a podcast about anxiety, and then I will take my notes, and then I will learn, and then I will implement that into my life. And then there's emotional self-care, which is processing your feelings. A lot of us like to shove our feelings deep down, and it affects us later on. Now, being emotionally mature is feeling your emotions. It is feeling everything, the bad and the good, and it does not make you weak, I promise you. Do you know how much happier you will be as a person in the long run? Yeah, you may be sad, but it is so much healthier than shoving your feelings down, because we all know that when we shove our feelings down, they always come back up, and we become mentally drained because shoving down our feelings. And then there's also healthy coping mechanisms. We can do deep breaths, we can go on walks, we can put our phone up for a while, we can take a nap if you need to rest, if you need to just have a day off to cope with whatever you need to cope with, do that. Be that caring person for yourself. Be that person that's going to cradle you. And then there's spiritual connecting, and I'm trying to be really open with this one because I know a lot of us have our own points of views and how we feel about certain things as far as spirituality goes. So I put connecting with something bigger than yourself, whether that be nature, meditation, or faith, right? And a lot of the times, having something bigger than yourself to look at can really set you in a path. Whether that, like I said, whether that be nature, meditation, or faith, or a religion, something to just kind of follow, or don't. That's really just a personal opinion. I know we all have our personal opinions about faith and everything. Do you? But it does help. It really does. Now I want to start talking about how we're actually going to exercise self-care, how we're actually going to do this right now. But before we get into all of that, I need to explain to you how important you actually are. You are a 1 in 8 billion chance of being born. I don't think you understand how insane that actually is. I don't think you understand how many people had to meet, how many people didn't meet, how many things that had to happen, how many situations that had to happen, how many days and nights that went on and certain things for you to happen. Do you know how important your life is? Like, you are 1 in a billion chance. Do you know how slim that chance is of you being born and you were born? And a lot of us are taking that for granted. Although you may not have your purpose, right? And a lot of us are, really hard on ourselves because we don't know our purpose. That's not what life is. Life is, you're meant to be happy. You're meant to do things that fulfill you. You are not meant to, leave a footprint on this earth and do all these crazy things. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but that doesn't define your purpose. Your purpose is to exist. Your purpose is to be happy and fulfill your needs. It is to do whatever you want to do. without caring. I just need you to understand that you're important, okay? I'm sorry. I became a mom on you for a second. Now, correlating back to how are we going to care for ourselves? The first and foremost that I want to address is that when we are, I guess, caring for ourselves or kind of trying to be there for ourselves, a lot of the time we are there negatively. We are there telling ourselves how bad of a person we are, how terrible we were at this, or we messed up on this. There is this method, and I learned it from a Duncan Trussell podcast, and he talks about how he makes a question. He goes, how would you treat a baby crying? A baby crying. You're going to pick it up and you're going to nurture it. And I've said this in my another podcast before. You're going to pick it up and nurture it. You're going to give it what it needs. You're going to set it down for a nap. You're going to give it a bottle. You're going to care for it. There is no difference between you and that baby. Now, I want you to literally treat yourself like a crying baby. I want you to mentally cradle yourself. Give yourself what you need in any moment. If you need to step out, step out. You need to be that for yourself because nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to be that person for you. And if you think that way, you will never succeed in being emotionally mature because at the end of the day, you are all you have. Everything else is temporary. And a lot of us are scared to hear that. And you need, I can't stress this enough, you need to understand that bad things are going to happen. That is inevitable. But I need you to understand, also, you are going to mess up. You are constantly going to mess up in your life. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to struggle. You're going to fuck something up. You're going to be a villain in somebody's story. That's inevitable. There is no way you are a perfect human being. And that is okay. I'm going to say it again. That is okay. Because that is life. That is the human existence. That is being alive. Wake up. Hey, it's okay to be alive. That's how we learn. That is the only way we learn. We learn from messing up. You've been taught this since forever. You make a mistake and you learn. The only time it becomes a problem is if you're constantly repeating it. Now, you can't expect change by doing the same thing. And if you know what that means, that is the definition for insanity. Do not drive yourself insane. Do not do something again and get the same outcome. Don't do something that you've already done and expect the same outcome. Because there will be no different outcome. Learn from your mistake. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. Now set intentions. Intentions are going to get you through this. Self-care is not like a to-do list. It's a checklist. It's something that, okay, I'm going to get that done. No. It needs to be a mindset. I need you to put your full heart and mind to being this person for yourself. To taking care of yourself needs to be a lifestyle. Mindset. You need to alter whatever you need to alter in your brain to understand that this is a necessity. And don't do things that you see on social media, even what I say. Don't take it full-heartedly because I can't stress this enough. Every day, I want you to ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I want today? Just because you see something on social media that says that's self-care, and then you want to do it because they say it's self-care, that's not self-care. Maybe that's self-care for them, but you're not like everybody. You need to sit there and ask yourself, what do you want? What do you need? Even if that means to lay down and take a break, that is fine. But don't, let that be your life. But every day, ask yourself, what do you need? Now, create healthy boundaries. Boundaries is going to push us so far in this as well. The moment you can create boundaries for yourself is the moment that all these toxic cycles in your life will stop. The moment you will stop going back to that ex. The moment that you will stop this unhealthy cycle, whatever it may be in your life. Whatever it may be. Set a boundary. Understand what you can handle and what you can't handle. And learn to say no when it is necessary. We have so many unhealthy things going on in our lives just because we can't say 2 simple letters. And that is no. Because you want to be a people pleaser. And maybe not you, but a lot of people do. You want to be a people pleaser. And you can't say no, and now you have all these things that you don't even want going on in your life. You have them going on because of other people's happiness. Be that person to say no. Stand up for yourself and say no. And this correlates into protecting our energy. When you're not setting boundaries, you are giving all this energy to just yucky ickiness, things that don't deserve your energy. You're just pouring it out. You're pouring it out when you don't say no. You're pouring it out to work. You're pouring it out to loved ones. It can even go into loved ones. You're pouring it out into social media. You're giving all these icky things your energy, knowing that these things are unhealthy for you. Make these boundaries. I cannot stress that enough. For you. For you, for nobody else but you. And the crazy thing is that I know that you're thinking about all this, and that a part of you might even feel guilty for taking care of yourself, because you're realizing, and I need you to be a little selfish, but you may realize that you are going to have to start being a little selfish. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't ever feel guilty about it. And I want you to look at it like this. Taking care of yourself and having these boundaries and everything is not selfish, but it is a way to show up fully for others. You cannot show up fully in somebody's life if you are not even there fully for yourself. Like they say, you can't love somebody unless you love yourself. It's the same thing for caring for people. And it's not talked about. And that is so hard for people to comprehend. Now, I want to affirmate you. I'm going to make you say an affirmation, right? Just say it with me. Come on. It's not going to hurt you. Caring for me helps me care for other people. One more time, actually say it in your head. Caring for me helps me take care of other people, because it does. And we are so stuck in everybody else's lives and making people happy that's what we have to tell ourselves. And it's true. I'm not just saying that to say it. It's true. Understand it, that you are doing this for others as well. You're not just doing this for yourself. But if it makes you feel better, you truly are doing it for other people. Because self-care is a healing journey in itself. As an entire whole, self-care is a journey. And I know that doing this may be hard. And it is hard. Because sometimes we don't even feel worthy of being happy. We don't even feel worthy of taking care of ourselves. We don't. And I can admit that. I can admit that I was that way for the longest. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that. And it's sad that a lot of us are that way. And I'm here to snap you out of it. I need you to understand, you. Yes, I'm talking to you through the screen. Literally you. You're here for a reason. Somehow, some way you ended up on this video, or you're listening to this. You are so bright in such a dark world, and you are too important to let yourself down like that. This actually makes me want to cry, because I wish I had somebody telling me this. Don't let yourself down like that, because it's gonna show. And when years go by, you're gonna realize that you wasted so much time because you felt like you didn't deserve it. Seriously, understand, you deserve everything. And a big part of understanding that is accepting that we can be happy and that you deserve it. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to do this for yourself. You deserve all of it. All of it. There is no reason, it doesn't matter what you've done or what you've messed up or all the mistakes that you've made. You will always deserve to be happy and deserve a happy life. Nothing can take that away from a human being. And I know it's so hard to get that through your head. I know. Just be patient with yourself and don't ever settle and think that you're not worthy of it, because you are. Now I want you to have a little call to action. I want you to take one little step, whether that be setting a little boundary, whether that be setting a little morning routine. And I want you to start small. You don't have to overwhelm yourself. Start small. Even if it's just being nicer to yourself. That is a start. And remember that self-care is a journey and it is not a destination. Thank you for listening to Art Through Perception. I am your host, Katie, and I love you so much. You deserve to be happy. And I really hope that you take what I said into consideration, and I hope that you decide to do this for yourself. I love you, and I'm proud of you for being here. Goodbye.